Last Linz 1, Liverpool 3. Good evening, everyone. Liverpool have come away with a 3-1 victory in Austria tonight. First game of the Europa League group stage, and we're off to a flyer. Might have started a bit poor, but we finished on top. And again, Jurgen Klopp changed the game, and we move to West Ham on Sunday. Grace, give me your first initial reactions to tonight's win.
Yeah, it was a good win. I mean, I think when LASk, went ahead with their first goal, I don't think we were too concerned because we looked the better side, and all credit to LASk for a amazing goal. Really, I mean, that was just what can you do about that? Of course, you can do better on the corner, but it was kind of another game where we fall behind, but I think we're showing this season, it's not necessarily. We have the mentality and the wits about us to come back and get a result. So very positive start for us there.
It is quite there's similar similarities to last season in terms of going behind, but it complete opposite in terms of turning the game around. Nathan, another game, like Rachel said, another game 1-0 down, come back. Should we really be going 1-0 down to last Linz? But a win's a win in it in the end. You're on mute, mate.
I am on mute, yeah, sorry. No, we probably shouldn't be going down 1-0, but I think with the context of the goal, I agree we probably could have maybe done better on the corner, but the actual goal itself, just a great strike, isn't it? Other than that, I don't really think they created too much in the whole of the game, and I think 3-1 as a result is not just the important thing. I think obviously going into a game like that, you want to win, but I think the fact that we've managed to rotate the team so much and get players playing that have not really played much or have been out for a long time, like Pacetic, and I think it's the main key thing for me personally.
Getting these players minutes, Gravenberch coming in, doing a very good cameo. Ben Dirk getting his minutes. Again, like Pacetic needed in them minutes. I know it's at right back, but he's still getting that match fitness back up. Harmony, 3-1 win. It wasn't as easy as it should have been, I think. Harmony, do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I'm surprised that it was a stressful game for me personally. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was really stressful. There was so many silly mistakes, so many just passes going everywhere. We weren't really composed in the first half. Yes, we were, we had control of the first half, control of the ball and possession, but when it really came down to it in terms of just keeping the ball and kind of killing off the game and taking the momentum off them, we didn't do that quite well. Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, the pitch was terrible, but it still doesn't excuse some of the passes that I saw today. That was just all over the place. But it is what it is. That goal could have been avoided if Konate actually, committed to that tackle, because it just kind of seemed like half-hearted that he just thought, let me just dangle my leg here and I might block it. But, you can't do nothing about that strike. That strike was absolutely, fantastic. But, we came away with a win. Now we can just move on and focus on West Ham.
Let's start with the first half then, Harmony. The same again against Wolves. We didn't show up at all. We didn't come out of the traps at all. Wolves should have scored 2 or 3, I think, on Saturday. Again tonight, last Linz, I think, could have easily scored 2 more sometimes on the break. There was that one where Virgil had to make that last-ditch sort of block. Why are we going 1-0 down again, Harmony? Is it a mentality thing?
I think... I wouldn't say it's a mentality thing. I just think with this situation in particular, I feel like that situation should have been dealt with quicker. Because if you saw Konate approach the guy, get close to him, but instead of actually dealing with it and just, either pushing him back to play back, he allowed him to take time and to cross that ball. And you can kind of just see it even with when they show the replay, he kind of just dangled his leg out there instead of actually, imposing his size and his physicality on the player. He just stood there and just thought, let me just flick my leg out and try to stop it. And that's what kind of caused us to see the corner. When it came to the corner, I felt like Gravenberch could have got to the play quicker, personally, but you can't really do anything about that. There's certain times where there's just certain strikes and certain goals that you just have to put your hand up and be like, you know what, that was a good goal. And I feel like that was just one of them. Yes, could we have done things to prevent that happening? Yes, we could have. But hindsight is always a great thing to have. You know what I mean? So Yeah.
I think for me, the goal I didn't have a problem with. Obviously, Gravenberch tried getting out. He got held back a little bit by the last Linz player, but you got to take your hat off sometimes and applaud the goal. But I think it would lead up to the goal where Harvey Elliott brought it down. A poor touch, lack of communication between. I think it was him and Kanate, and you know, neither went for the ball, and last Linz just went on the break free again. They sort of messed up that attack, that initial counter attack. They sort of messed it up, but they got a corner from it, and there we go. Again, I'm just going through these comments here, Nathan, and they're saying, what do you think of Endo? Endo does not fit the part. Again, the midfield, though, we can see the problems there. And I'm going to go into the second half in a minute, but in terms of that DM position, I've been on about it. I feel like I've been on it about it so many times. Again, I've gone on it with a recorded podcast yesterday. And that DM position is absolutely pivotal. And the lack of DM and lack of, not even experience, just ability in that area of the pitch, that proper mindset of a DM, it's completely missing in it. It's killing us. It's killing us against these teams. And it's Last Linz and it's Wolves and it's Bournemouth. It's going to be better teams soon, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I agree. I've said it like all along. Like I do quite a lot of these streams with you, so we've spoke about this thing before. We definitely need a number 6, but I believe Endo's level of what he can play at is better than what it was today. I think a few players had a bit of a poor games there. I think he did. I think Kostas was probably the worst I've seen him play in Liverpool shirt.
Yeah.
I think Bajcetic looked a bit off it at times. I think as the game got on, he got better. I think we've seen already. I don't think Endo's going to be. I'd be surprised anyway. I don't think he's going to be the starting number 6. I thought he was poor today, but I do think in other games where we've played harder teams, he's actually played better. I thought he played well against Newcastle. So I wouldn't be too concerned about today. I think today he looked a step off it, but I think in the first half especially, I think there was a good 5 or 6 players that did. I think Harvey Elliott didn't look up to it. Bajcetic is another one, didn't look really up to it. I think Kanate even looked a little bit shaky. Again, like I said, I think Kostas was the worst player on our team today, and I love him. I think he's a good player. I think he's a very good deputy to Robertson, but I thought he was quite poor. But I wouldn't be too concerned over Endo. I think today's game, we need to take more positives out of it. In terms of, I get it, like, you know, we're all here to sit here and judge the whole game, critique the players, but I think we need to look at the positives more. And I think Endo will be better than what he has been. I also don't think he's going to be a nail-on starter, so we'll have to wait and see. I think he can play better than what he did today, but I think, you know, it's not really that much of a concern for me anyway.
I think regarding the game, you know, you can look at it and say we've got the result, 3-1 win, but I look at the bigger picture and I see, again, like I said, there's going to be better teams coming across, and that number 6 is absolutely crucial. If we can't get one in January, then for me a title race is not on the cards, and a title race should be on the cards, and that's how I see it.
I agree. I think we do need to get a 6. We do. I agree with you. My point is in terms of Endo, I wouldn't be concerned. He's been, we've been told he's been brought in to do the Milner / Henderson role, whatever that was going to be. And I think, is there a more perfect game than like a Carling Cup 3rd round or 4th round, whatever, or, you know, playing against LASk in the Europa League? You know, this is the game that the players like him have been brought in for. You know, we need a number 6 if we want to win titles. That's going to be playing against the likes of City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, and that. We need one that level. He's not. Well, you never know, but he's probably not going to be good enough to do that. But he should be good enough today. He wasn't good enough today. But lucky enough for us, we rotated so much, but we had a bench that was just full of talent that at half time we could go, Klopp could give them a little clip round in and say, listen, sort your shit out. And, you know, you need to do better second half. And ultimately, second half, we were just so much better than what we were in the first half, and it showed. And even second half, we probably didn't even get off the first gear. But I agree. We need a high quality number 6. I don't think Gravenberch's going to be it either. The way he's come on the last 2 games or started, to me, it looks like he wants to use him as like a number 8. Do you know what I mean? So
he's more advanced. Yeah, and I knew that was going to happen when we did buy him, because it was a good buy. But like I said, we've got McAllister, Sob, and Gravenberch. Even like Curtis Jones, they're all advancing. Not attacking midfield, but they're all advancing midfield. They want to go forward. Yeah. And when you do that, you got all those players that want to do the same thing. We're going to obviously end up with gaps, and that's why we get hit on the break. That's why we concede first sometimes. There is nearly 60 people watching live. Please make sure you hit the likes, everyone, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. Hit the notification bells on because we are live every single night. Race, carrying on that first half then. Is there anyone that stood out for you in the first half specifically? I mean, it wasn't an amazing first half, but is there anyone that came across your head?
It's tough to say, I guess, in that first half if anyone really looked bright. Again, we started the game well, and when we went down a goal, it wasn't too concerning because it's not like LASk were having all these chances and opportunities. It was just kind of a one-off chance, and all credit to them for hitting an amazing goal. I guess I was kind of looking at the defense and Virgil and Konate just coming back into the side, and it's interesting to see how they perform after being out of the team for a bit. It's good to see them just kind of back in action. And of course, by Chedic, playing right back or maybe an inverted type role. And that was a surprise to see. As Nathan said, I think he grew into the game well and looked the part for sure. And just, kind of our first look at him this season, he looks a little bigger, which makes sense because he's still a young guy and he's growing. So it's good to see him kind of put on some muscle because, if we envision him being in our midfield, you gotta build some strength for sure. But I thought he did all right. He got a yellow card, but still I think a good start for him and good to see minutes as well. These Europa Leagues sides that we put out are going to be our more rotated sides. So and when you look at the result as a whole, a 3-1 win, get a bunch of different guys minutes under their legs. Gravenberch, his full debut, Doak up front, getting a start. By Chech, of course, get minutes. I mean, this is kind of what we're looking for in the Europa League. Just obviously we don't want to go down 1-0, but in the end, this is what we're looking for. So we brought in some midfielders, our midfield in the second half. Salah came on late and looked absolutely incredible. He was just toying with LASk in his short minutes out there. So I mean, this is just really an ideal start in the Europa League, all things considered.
I think Salah coming on and making that cameo towards the end, I think showed the levels between what Liverpool should be and what LASk are, if that makes sense. And that's why I'm concerned in terms of conceding first. We should be battering teams like this. And I do follow other European leagues. I knew our LASk were an attacking team and a good team, behind Salzburg. They're the ones that have been pushing Salzburg for the last 4 or 5 years in terms of the title. So they're not dummies, but we're Liverpool, and we are a Champions League sort of quality team. However, that first half, Harmony, there was only a few Champions League quality players out for Liverpool, and that was like I said, Diaz, Nunez, Konate, Virgil. You're talking the main four that start our games. For me, Diaz was the one that really shone in that first half. He was an absolute threat. He always is anyway. He's a menace. He doesn't give up. And there was a bright sparks from Gravenberch and Dirk. There were moments. It was a bit like a moment in the first half, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I'll actually even throw Darwin Nunez in there. I'm starting to look at him. I'm starting to watch the way he plays now. He's starting to get more involved in games. His hold-up play has actually improved so much. Honestly, it's improved so much. Him bringing in people in the game, even though his touches are kind of wayward sometimes. It's just, Darwin, just calm down. There's someone right next to you. Just play the ball and just move. But, that's him. But with the guys that you just named, 100%. I think Gravenberch did really, really well today. It was a good show of him. He kind of showed like how he's kind of different to McAllister and Slobosai. Like just like that pass that he tried to play to I think it was either Doak or Elliott, where he was on the left hand side and he had the ball and there's players around and he just pinged it. And if that ball just had a little bit less pace on it, someone one of those players would have got to the end of it. And I feel like that's something that he can bring to the game. That just sporadic pass that you're not expecting and it just bang is there in behind players. You know what I mean? So and with Doak, I think it was a hard game for him because the defender kind of realized, you know what, he only has a right leg. He can't really use his left leg. So all I want to keep doing is keep trying to bring him inside, and that kind of nullified what he could bring into the game. But the first couple of minutes, there was a couple of times when he beat that defender with a quick step over across, and I was like, yeah, we have a talent in here. I think he just needs to work on his left leg, even if it might not be the best, but as long as he can use it, quick pass that he can get running behind and he can still receive it. That would be something that I'll say to him to kind of incorporate into his game. But from what I've saw for those first like 5 to 10 minutes, was good for him. It was really, really good for him. So yeah,
It's got the potential on it. I mean, the way he skinned the left back so easily for me says a lot about him. But I think there were times throughout the game he started doing too much. Once it skinned him, he didn't cross it in. Sometimes he started cutting back and things like that. He needs to get that off his head. But that comes with age. That comes with experience. Nathan, with the mindset sort of changed. You know, we're going 1-0 down, but we're winning these games. We'll get into back to that. We're not going to lose it sort of thing. We're making more comebacks than 90s boy bands. So is that a sign of good things to come?
I think so, yeah. It's also a sign of going and buying some decent players in the summer and getting rid of players that weren't good enough. I think the mentality's always been there for certain players, but last season I think a lot of players were quite shook in terms of like how poor we were. We even seen at times where Virgil looked quite vulnerable, and I think this season, I know obviously the red card against Newcastle was a bit of a one-off. Well, it literally was. It's his only red card for us. But I think in terms of going behind now, when they scored today, I never had any thought in my mind that we weren't going to win. Like I've just got that confidence now, and I think it's down to a few different things, but it's mainly down to that you can see the team's got confidence, and we've just got so many better players. Like even it's crazy because last season we could have played our best 11 against them today, going 1-0 down, and I would have had less thought in my mind that we were going to come back. Even though today we had such a rotated squad, but I just think the mentality right now is a lot better, and we're kind of seeing signs of like not the same, but when Klopp first come in, and it's a case of where you score 3, we'll score 5, and I hope that's not how it stays. I think that could be down to again not having maybe an actual high level number 6 to maybe keep us from leaking goals and conceding early on. But yeah, you can see a massive difference this season, a massive difference.
Paul asked me, Damon, what is the most critical at the moment? Number 6 or left side back? And number 6, mate. And number 6, and
by a mile.
I can't even stress. I've even done a 10-minute video on this number 6 situation. I can't even stress how important it is, because you've already seen the evidence in the last month or so. I know we're winning games, but the Chelsea game, the gaps, Newcastle again, Bournemouth will get 1-0 down, Wolves went 1-0 down, and against better teams we'll be losing these games, and that's what I'm worried about, because we've got Brighton away coming up, we've got Tottenham away after the West Ham game as well, and those are the games where those number 6s are crucial. I just every single Premier League side that's won the league has a number 6 there, as a world-class number 6, by the way, as well. Going back to the game then, race, second half again, comeback was on. Klopp made changes early on again. I think me and Rigo talked about this on the podcast last night, the recorded podcast, which is out Friday. Which out tomorrow, sorry. And we spoke about the options that Klopp has now. There's much more options that he did last season, a better bench to pick from, and he's making earlier changes than he did in the previous 2 seasons.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're bringing in, what a thing to have, bringing Szoboszlai and McAllister into a team. And that, and they can go, it goes both ways. We're at the, wanting to score a goal, but also, if we go ahead, they can, do a shift defensively and hold the ball for us well, and kind of, release some of that pressure. And so, I mean, that's just kind of, again, I've said, the rotation of the squad that we have in the Europa League, that's going to be key for us this season. And now we have Gravenberch to add to that. And I mean, that was just an amazing assist that he had, just kind of first time right across the middle for Diaz. I mean, that was just kind of a little surprising. I mean, when he kind of hit that, but I thought he did really well, in his first game with us. And of course, having Salah to come off the bench, I mean, that's just a stupid type of luxury that we have, to bring him on and just, I mean, almost putting in a man of the match performance in like 15 minutes. I mean, that was just how good he was. And
I almost felt sorry for Linz. You think 2-1, we're still in this, we've got a chance, and then see Salah coming on the pitch, is like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I mean, we went up 2-1, and then you would think you get a little pressure from LASk, firing forward, but that really didn't happen, because we just kind of controlled the game, and it was clear that we were looking for a third goal to really put the game to bed. And that's just, that's all we can ask for. And again, it's just kind of been a theme this season of us in the second half and making those changes. And that's what Klopp does. That's what makes him the world-class manager. He just gets us right, when we're struggling, if we're down, whatever. It's I was with Nathan too. I didn't really have any worry that we wouldn't win this game. And it's our first Europa League game. It's on the road. It's, ideally, a tougher environment than, what we're going to have. So just good to really have a nice, tidy job done. And now we go ahead, West Ham this Sunday and move on.
Paul says here, what's the correct pronunciation of Ryan's name? Is it Burke or Birch? Well, all the Burks play for my United mates, so you got that one right there. Make sure you leave a like on the stream, like Charles said here, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's go to the penalty then, Harmony. Paul asked earlier, was it soft? And I do believe that it was slightly soft, but I can see why it's given because I think it was a kick at the end. He sort of followed through, but if he didn't flick his leg, I don't think he'd have given it.
Yeah.
Do you think it was a penalty, and do you think we got away with that one?
In the context of if there's contact in the box, then it's significant. You didn't get close to the ball, yes. But if you really look at it, it was a little bit soft. I think it was more like the after effect of rather than the actual impact of the tackle. So, but I'll take it. Honestly, I'll take it. I was happy that we got that penalty. I was like, yes, finally, something to kind of motivate the players to be like, okay, now we're in the game. Because even though we came on the second half, we started playing a little bit better. I was still a bit like, we still need to pick it up again. We still need to kick on, And I think that penalty kind of just helped us calm us down a little bit. Okay, well, now we're in this game. Let's get a second goal. Let's get a third goal. So even though it was soft, it was really essential to kind of get the team, going. And
we needed that third goal to kill the game. And again, the changes, Gravenberch, just that pass inside that he made, like Bash just said, it was so quick, and we didn't have that last season. I think Henderson would have probably gone to the corner or something like that. Even though he was on his own, I think Henderson would have gone to the corner. We don't have that anymore, which is brilliant. And again, we're all right going forward, Nathan. We're all right going forward. It's just defensively, isn't it? We've got West Ham coming up this week, and they're no mugs. I know we're at home, but they're no mugs at West Ham. They've got some decent players. We need to start picking up from the front foot, don't we? Straight off the whistle.
Yeah, we need the way we're starting like the second half is how we need to be starting as soon as the first whistle goes, because we seem to be. It might not take us that long in every game, but we seen against the Wolves, like first half we were just very poor, and then as soon as the second half kicked off, like we just started the game all over. Do you know what I mean? And we need to start with every single game. That's how we need to be starting from the first whistle. I think West Ham it's going to be a slightly different challenge than what we've played this season. I don't know if you've seen the comments from Michael Antonio saying that he thinks they're going to beat Liverpool. And to be fair to him, Mike, I think he could be a bit of a problem with us in that right channel, depending on if Trent's there or not. I think he's actually quite difficult to play against. But I hope we can beat them anyway. But we need to start early, and we need to go from the off, and need to try and grab an early goal. It'd be nice to do that and just like be more comfortable and not have to sit there and think, we're going to have to try and get back into this, because that's how it seems to have been over the last few games. Or how many games this season have we gone behind now? 4?
I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is.
Newcastle.
Yeah.
It's
like I said, I'm not as concerned now, because I feel like it's strange. I'm starting to the PTSD, as I've mentioned before, starting to wear off now. I'm starting to think we can beat teams, and I think I'm watching other teams play, and I'm watching us play, and I'm thinking we have got that quality. Like when we made all them subs in the second half, like when we walked Szoboszlai on, and even Gravenberch in the first half, they're just so good. Like even just a little cameo that he had for like 60 minutes. And if anyone that watched him play in the Dutch league before he signed for Bayern, you'll know that the quality is there, but the potential to be very high for him. And if these players can just get used to each other a little bit more, and just that link between the midfield and defence is still a little bit shady, isn't it? That's why I think we are going behind, and I think that if we can get that sewn up and do a little bit better, I think we'll stop going behind in games. But like I said before, I think this season we might see a lot of games where it's going to be a case of if you score so many, we're going to score more. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully I'm wrong, like.
You're mute,
Damon. Can't hear you, Damon.
No,
still can't hear you. Oh, got some.
Who do you think will partner Mackin and Slob in the midfield against West Ham?
Let's see.
No, you might have to
No.
leave and come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For me, I think, to be honest with you, depending on how Gravenberch is looking, because they did come off. I'm just hoping it was a bit of a cramp, and he just needs, to kind of just come off a little bit and just rest. I hope it's that, and it's nothing, serious. For me, I'll put Jones there. Only because
I am back.
Endo would. I don't feel like Endo will be ready to play against West Ham, because I feel like they'll definitely put pressure on him, and I feel like he still needs some time to actually get adapted to the team and get used to the pace. And I think, like you said, I think there is a player there in Endo. I just feel like he just needs a little bit more time to kind of embed into the team and embed into the league and understand exactly how we play, when to press, when not to press, when to drop off, and everything like that. And once he gets that down, I think he'll be a good player for us. But for now, it has to be McAllister in that DM role. Unfortunately, that's what's really annoying for me, because I feel like we're losing so much having him play so deep and having to keep rotating between him and Slobosai or him and Jones. And I feel like these guys just need someone in the back that can be like, you guys go, enjoy yourself, provide for these three front guys, and I will take care of this. Me, Verge, Kanate, we'll take care of the defense. Don't worry about it. And if we had someone like that, I feel like we'll be in a much more better place. But obviously, this is a situation we're in right now. So I think it'll be Jones, McAllister, and Slobosai.
Yeah.
Going into those games, though, we've got West Ham next. Again, no mugs, but then Brighton and Tottenham away. Those are the games where we have to sit back now and really realise where we are. We can beat all these teams that we've beaten now. If we really want to push City this season, we need to get results off these, whether the draws or wins. We need to get at least 4 points, I think, on these games, because if we draw 2, and City seems to be getting easy games, by the way, from what I've seen. I don't think they've played anyone yet, but we've just got to keep the pressure on them. If we can keep the pressure on them, who knows what can happen. But these next 3 games are absolutely crucial, Race. Do you agree?
Yeah, certainly. And to piggyback on what Nathan said about kind of starting fast and whatnot, I think this West Ham game is that opportunity, because you kind of look at our past 2 games, the Wolves game, we're coming off the international break, some guys traveling from South America, and it just kind of, those signs clearly showed there. And of course, this game, rotated side, Europa League away, it's just kind of not to make excuses, but just kind of added some context to it. So you look at this game, you're going to have, Sobosai and McAllister in there. You're gonna have Salah in there, starting fresh up top. It's gonna be, this is the game where I think it was what game was it? Is it Villa? We really just kind of put that game to bed and really dominated. And so I think this is the opportunity now against West Ham, against the side that's been pretty good this season for them, to really make a stamp and make a kind of a almost a statement win, even though it's not necessarily a big opponent. That's where looking ahead to the Spurs game we have on the road. That's kind of a game where is kind of our next kind of big game, and Spurs have started the season well, and that's another one that we'll be looking forward to. But yeah, this is our first kind of busy, congested schedule that we have this season. So again, it's great to get the job done right now in Europa League. But of course, we know there's bigger goals and bigger tasks at hand, specifically when it comes to the league and how we want to perform there. So I'll be curious to see, how we start that game in West Ham. It's at home. It's, our crowd's going to be up for it. It's just, it's certainly going to be an interesting, next couple of weeks here.
Hello, Max, an interesting point here. I have a sneaky feeling that Gravenberch is a higher level than Curtis Jones. The thing is, with Curtis Jones, apart from the last 10 games last season, he's never really taken a chance fully. I mean, consistently fully. I think he's played okay this season, but again, against Wolves, he was dodgy, very, very dodgy. He kept giving the ball away. He kept running upfield and leaving his DM position. I don't blame him that he's in the DM position, because he shouldn't be there. He shouldn't be in a double pivot. He's not a double pivot player. I know he plays for double pivot 121s, but that's a completely different level. It doesn't work in this level. And you're going to see Gravenberch be better, because Gravenberch, I think, had a higher ceiling anyway. I just think he was let down at Bayern Munich. He was always a good player at Ajax. I wanted him when he was at Ajax. We missed out on that transfer, but we got back to him. It's going to be an interesting team that we're going to play on Sunday, because apart from Hendo and possibly Bajcetic, we haven't really got a six, Nathan. Are we going to see that mixing sort of three? Would you like to see Gravenberch in there with McAllister and Szoboszlai?
Personally, no. I mean, in an ideal world, I'd love them three to be able to play a game together. But in terms of like, do I think it should happen? No, because ultimately, McAllister's going to play the number 6. I don't want him to play there. It could Sunday when we play West Ham, could that be what we see? McAllister, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai? Yeah, maybe, probably. I don't want it to happen. No, I want McAllister to be playing further forwards, and I want us to have a better DM so we can actually, be more secure at the back. But I feel like this. One thing I will say about West Ham is a lot of teams get a lot of money off selling a big player, especially the teams that are low down the table, and they don't seem to spend that money quite well. It's happened quite a few times. Gareth Bale springs to mind when Spurs sold him. And one thing they've done is they've replaced him very well with a certain couple of players, and they could be quite difficult to play in the midfield. And I think with the explosiveness that they've got from certain players, that's what I think in terms of like Antonio, the way he can drop and hold the ball up and stuff like that, he's quite strong. Depending on who plays that 6 role, they could have a nightmare of a game against them. Like in terms of like size and strength, the size and the difference between Antonio and McAllister could be a massive difference in the game for us, I think.
Who would you put there then? I
don't know. I think he will go. I think the best possible player we've got to play there is probably Bajcetic, but he's not ready. He's not match fit. We've seen that today. He got more into the game, and he also played right back. Paul's put in the comments there. I think Slab would be better.
Yeah, because of him, yeah.
When we played against Wolves in the second half, when he dropped into that deeper role, he was so good. But in that, like, you need a double pivot with someone that's gonna. I think personally, that's gonna give him that freedom to be able to just play football. Basically, do you know what I mean? If Bajcetic was up to the game, like fitness and stuff like that, I'd start him, and I'd play McAllister and Szoboszlai. That's what I personally go with anyway.
When that question got put in earlier, what's more important, a 6 or a left centre back? We're getting it right now. The fact that we're having to talk about Szoboszlai dropping back in, the fact that we're talking about Maka dropping back in, talk about Gravenberch relying on 19-year-old Bajcetic hopefully turning up. We should be doing that, and this is why it's so important. We're ruining the players that we've got, and why we bought Szoboszlai, why we bought McAllister. They should be pushing forward. Gravenberch should be pushing forward. Even Curtis Jones should be pushing forward. They can't do that at the moment. It's hard to predict Liverpool at the moment, Race. Going 1-0 down again tonight. Could that happen again? Like Nathan just said, these West Ham, they can outpower us in that midfield. They've got power up front with Antonio. They've got some decent finishers in terms of Bowen. Even Danny Ings has got a good finish on him. So could you see us going 1-0 down again? And how does Klopp prevent that happening?
Well, again, I could certainly see it happening. It's just kind of the state we've been in recently. And like I said, this is the game where it's an ideal place where we should be starting fast, starting on the front foot, and hopefully, getting an early goal or something. I mean, it's right now it's been a worry, and we think about our defense. Sometimes it's not always hasn't been as solid as it's been in the past, and I'll be interested to see. I assume Virgil would start that one. Who would start us alongside him? I would. I guess Konate would be my pick. Didn't look too out of place today. He came off at the end. I'm just sure a little give him a little rest. In advance of this game on Sunday. It's going to be Robertson back in there, and we'll see if Trent's fit for this game or not. But I mean, it's absolutely crucial to be on the front foot. And again, this is the environment to be on the front foot and put the game away. Well, not put the game away, but start fast and just kind of put some doubt out of the way. We want these games where we're not, it's all basically all positive, and there's not always been the case this season. I think the was the Villa games, been our best performance this season. Clean sheet, 3-0 win. That's been a real positive. So hopefully, we're kind of kicking on here and put in just a real good performance on Sunday.
I think it's the amount of chances teams create sometimes that what worry me. I know obviously teams are going to create chances against us, but apart from the Villa game, we've always looked like we could concede 2 or 3, and down to good keeping, sometimes down to poor finishing, maybe a last-ditch tackle or something like that. But we shouldn't have to rely on those fine margins to get these results against these teams at the moment. How many is anyone that's played tonight well, that's impressed you enough to maybe push for a start on Sunday?
That's me or Harmony.
I'm trying to think.
Oh.
I would say Gravenberch, but the way he came off, we don't know what's going to go on with that. What's going to happen with that? So we have to wait. For me, I would say Nunez. I feel like he has to start. He's been impressive, honestly. His hold up play, the way he's just been a nuisance to defenders. I think getting a goal and an assist today as well for Mo Salah is going to boost his confidence to go into that West Ham game and just cause havoc against their centre backs, and he has a link up between him and Mo and Diaz. They all have link up. He links up both of them so well. So for me, that will be the guy that I'll push for a start ahead of Gakpo. But apart from that, I don't really see anybody else that I'll say give them a nod to start, because like I said, that first half was not great at all. We had our moments, but we didn't do nothing. Second half, if it wasn't for that penalty, I don't know if we would have kicked on the way we kicked on when we scored. So those 2 players will be it for me. And also, just to add, I know we've been worried about also how we're starting. We're conceding a lot of goals, but if you watch Man City, Arsenal, these guys every single game they play, they've conceded. They have not been keeping the clean sheets as well. You know what I mean? So we might have to put that in perspective. It's just not us that we're struggling with, goals and leaking. Is these, Arsenal's leaking goals, Man City is leaking goals. Even in the game in the Champions League, they went 1-0 down before they actually, stood and started playing well. So I feel like we're all, us, Arsenal and Man City, we're kind of in the same position where we're not up to pace yet. So I think, yes, it's worrying, but at the same time, let's not be too concerned. I think because if you see all the other teams around us, they're basically doing the exact same thing that we're doing. So I think once we start to, everyone starts to pick up their form and everything, I think it'll be a different story. So that's what I want to add.
I think the best thing that comes out of our scenario, Howney, is the fact that we've played tougher games as well.
Yeah.
We've already played Newcastle away, we've already played Chelsea away. We've got Brighton and Tottenham away coming up. If we can get out of those as well with wins and draws, then I think we're on a good form. We're on a good run, and we're unbeaten in 16 in the league. So we can push for this league, but we just need to get this right. As Klopp says, we need to rely on luck a little bit. I think we do need a little bit of luck, because unless we get a 6 in January, I can't see us pushing properly next season, early part of next year. But unless we have that bit of luck, like Klopp said. Tonight then, just to finish off tonight then, Nathan, man of match. Bit of a tough one to pick, actually, because there was only a couple that stood out in the first half, and the second half, it was mainly the subs that changed the game.
I'd probably go Gravenberch. I thought he played quite well, to be fair. I don't think he done anything wrong.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about him is every time he was getting the ball, he was constantly wanting to turn with it and go forwards, which, there was a bit of a meme shared onto Twitter a few hours ago, like it was some man tasted a bit of chicken and just like being in awe of it. And it was a meme saying like, when you've gone from Henderson and Milner to Sobbers like Gravenberch and McAllister, and it summed it up perfect, because you've got 3 players that can do a bit of everything, but that also want to get the ball turn and drive forward, and it's just it's so good to see. For me, it was him. Or a couple of people in the comments saying Luis Diaz. I agree with Luis Diaz as well. Thought he played quite well, and it's no coincidence last season that we suffered quite a bit and played quite poorly, and then all of a sudden, I don't know if you've seen statistically, but for the second 19 games of the season last year, we had the most points in the league behind City. So if we would have started the season on game week 20, Liverpool would have finished second. So we are seeing improvements, but at that point in time as well, Luis Diaz was coming back from injury around February, and he'd been out for such a long time. So it shows how key he is for us. And, before he got injured against Arsenal, you could argue that he was Liverpool's best player from when he signed. And he showed tonight again. He's so good on the ball. And if he can add a few goals this season, which he has, I think he's going to be a massive key part for us. And I think he'll be a player that's going to win us games single-handedly on his own. But for me, I'd have to go with Gravenberch for overall, yeah.
I thought Keller had a good game as well. I thought Keller made some very good saves. The one with the foot was unbelievable. So that was
one question. I was going to ask this before, I forgot. Do you think he's going to play through the whole tournament if we get to the final?
Possibly.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, I think, I don't know who did it now. Someone did it in the cup with that. I think it might have been
Carabao Cup. It was Keller that did the Carabao Cup.
Didn't Alisson play the FA Cup final, though?
And Arsenal did it.
Alisson played the FA Cup final, but he played the Carabao Cup final.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Arsenal 2 years ago, Chelsea 2 years ago, did it throughout the whole cup where they keep playing the same guy. I think it might have been Arsenal.
Yeah.
I can't remember who was back up to Ramsdale, but they kept playing him even in the final. I think that's testament to Kelleher that if he does play throughout the whole tournament, and again, I think he didn't really put a foot wrong, so I couldn't really do all about the goal, but the couple of good saves he made, the one with the foot, like I said, I think that was Alisson. That one with the foot, and that could have been a different game tonight if he didn't do that. Anyone stood out for you tonight? It was Gravenberch, your player of the match.
Yeah, like you said, it's a little tough to pick one here because they're kind of a tale of two halves and kind of who showed out. And Gravenberch definitely would be up there. I agree with the Diaz shouts as well. Nunez getting a goal and an assist. That's good to see him. I just think back to Salah's cameo. I mean, he was just on another level when he came on and he got a goal. And I think if he would have played like maybe 10 more minutes, if he came on a little earlier, I think he would have been my pick for man of the match, honestly. I mean, that's how influential he was. And we just had the lead already when he came in. So I would definitely stick with Gravenberch. I think he was just so good at, bringing the ball forward with getting that assist, of course. Just not looking out of place in the team, which is, of course, when you bring in new players, you're worried sometimes about how they're going to fit right away. And he just seemed to slide in there fairly comfortably. And so hopefully it's just kind of a muscle cramp, something like that when he came off at the end, because very, very positive debut from him.
It is supposedly cramp, by the way. I've seen a comment on Twitter before of a TNT Sports reporter.
That's like a football, That's like a football. I mean, he played for Bayern Munich as his first proper match in a long time. Regarding the Salah sort of situation as well, the Salah, when he came on, there was a few good crosses he put on outside the foot. He tried his outside the foot.
Yeah, I thought that one myself before.
I think he was taking the mickey a little bit, but I think he can do it. He can do it, and he pulled it off most of the time. So, and his strength is underrated. I think the way he held the ball up quite a few times, even the goal, he sort of shrugged off a couple of players and somehow got away and put it through the keeper's legs. How many man of match tonight, mate?
It's so tough to pick. If Slobosai came on the 60th minute, I would have said him because he just came on, just started controlling the game. It was you can just see the difference as soon as he came onto that pitch. He just controlled the game and just took it to a whole different level. Mo is another one. His first touch was dragged it back and played it through to Gomez, and it was just like, oh my gosh, it's almost like he hasn't skipped a beat, and it just kind of opened my eyes. His passing has been absolutely brilliant. And if he continues doing that,
I think he's better in terms of passing.
Got better, yeah.
100%. If he
continues
to
tell Mane
the whole
that
season,
he passed to him before. Mane watching it with tears coming out his eyes, weren't he?
I think this Salah would probably pass it to Mane. I feel like this Salah would. Yeah. If he continues that, I feel like he can beat Henry's record in the Premier League, for 20 assists this season. Because honestly, but for me, I'm picking Nunez. I think overall he was just brilliant today. His hold up play, his link up with Mo and Diaz was great. He pressed from up front as well, So for me, I'll choose him. He slotted his penalty away as well, really good, really, really well as well. So yeah, for me,
an assist as well, didn't he?
Yeah, for Salah, yeah.
Pelé says he Club's 50th win in Europe and a record for Liverpool manager, which again, Jurgen Klopp, we can't say more superlatives for Jurgen Klopp than we ever have because he's the best manager I've seen in my lifetime. Want pleasure enough to watch Bob Paisley and Bill Shankly, but he's up there for me in terms of what I hear from my father and throughout. But we move, guys. We've got the 3-1 win against Last Lanes. We made it difficult for ourselves in the first half. Got a bit lucky in the second half with a penalty, but again, the class pays, doesn't it? Class pays. If you've got different level of class on the bench, when you've got like Salah to come on, McAllister to come on, Soboslai to come on, you're going to win games. You're going to win games against teams like this. And guess what, guys? Manchester United against Liverpool, Dublin is on. Ladies and gentlemen, Manchester United versus Liverpool in Dublin is on. And this has been the Transfer Room. I've been Damon, Race, Harmony, and Nathan. Thank you, everyone. Red 3-1 win. The Europa League is on. Thanks, everyone, and good night.